Hello there, I'm Josh, this is Alex. We are the target audience. Content is made for absolutely everybody, but we think it's specifically made for us, and hopefully for you as well. Today, we are not watching anything, but we are discussing the brand new Marvel MCU film, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, directed by Sam Raimi, starring Benedict Cumberbatch, Elizabeth Olsen, and a bunch of other people. And we are big fans of the MCU here on this channel. If it's your first time here, we've watched Hawkeye, we just finished Moon Knight, live reactions all on the channel, so we're obviously big fans. Alex, what was your kind of vibe going into this one? It's obviously been hyped up a lot. Were you on the hype train? Were you trying to keep expectations low? What were your initial kind of feelings going in before seeing the movie?
I didn't listen to any of that. Instead, we're going to talk about Ghostbusters at the VHS. I don't know. I just wanted to make that joke. This movie is kind of a victim of its own hype. We're going to stay spoiler-free in the beginning here. Wonderful director, the director of the Holy Trilogy, Sam Raimi. Evil Dead 2, one of my favorite movies of all time. Army of Darkness, Evil Dead. Darkman, great director. MCU, Doctor Strange, one of my favorite characters in the MCU. Benedict Cumberbatch knocks it out of the park. But coming off of, I never thought I would say this, ever. I was expecting a lot from this movie, and I think they got the abbreviations right, MOM, but instead of madness, I would call it the Multiverse of Mid.
Nice.
It's if you're expecting a film where they explore all these different multiverses, no, there's like one shot where they travel through, for a second, 10 of them, but for the most part, it's only in one or two universes, and the entire time while watching this film, I've told you about my feeling. In the first 10 minutes, I can tell, there's something wrong. I didn't get that, but throughout this whole film, I just felt like this sense of the time is running out. When is this going to take off? And then when it reached the climax, I'm like, oh, it's not going to. This is the climax. The deep character stuff, the emotional stuff, for the most part, didn't land. I don't know. It just coming off of No Way. I never thought I'd say that John Watts directed a better film than Sam Raimi, but that worked. And with this one, it just didn't land with me. There were some great cameos, some nice moments, things I didn't expect. But in terms of a multiverse of madness, it wasn't there for me. I mean, how do you feel?
Yeah, you said a lot, so I'll try to remember everything you said there. But first of all, going into it, I had a very weird feeling about it. I didn't think it was going to be bad or anything, but I just felt really weird about the movie feeling like we were being promised a different movie than it actually was the more that the marketing came out. And we can get more into this in spoilers and stuff about how much of the fault of this is Disney and Marvel and how much is online fandom and stuff. There's a lot there, but this movie's been hyped up, like I said, for a very long time, crazy theories about what's going to be in this movie. And as the marketing started coming out more and more, I'm like, oh, this just looks like a normal movie. This doesn't look like anything that's going to be too nuts. And it really wasn't. I mean, I don't have a lot of problems with the movie itself as far as what's in the movie and how it's done and executed. The movie that they made, I think Sam Raimi did a good job with the actual directing. There's a lot of cool Sam Raimi weird horror moments in it that I liked, and the overall tone of it. And that type of stuff. There's stuff in there that I liked. I just feel like we kind of all showed up to a movie that we weren't promised. We all showed up being told we were seeing a certain movie, and then we got given a different one. And the movie that we were given, for the most part, it was fine, and I liked it. And we'll talk about the flaws of the actual movie that I didn't like. But definitely more so expectations and theories and hype. All of that was a huge problem of this. But one last thing is just the title itself. You said it, Multiverse of Madness. I would have loved a lot more multiverse in this movie. So just based on that alone, you take away all the online theories, all of that stuff that you can't blame the studio for, any of that, the marketing. The movie is literally called Multiverse of Madness, and as you said, we spend most of our time in, obviously we start off in the main MCU 616 universe, and then we really only see a handful of others, only focusing on one other. So you don't really see a lot of it. I don't know how much more we can really talk about it though without going into spoilers. So was there anything else you wanted to say before we do that?
Before spoilers, performances are fantastic. I've seen pictures of Benedict Cumberbatch in real life, and then I see him in Doctor Strange, dressed up like complete different physicality. Like he becomes that character. Like if you ever see Benedict Cumberbatch in real life, he just looks like a goofy human being. Like he just dresses like a goofball. And then you see him in this, it's like he just completely different person. Elizabeth Olsen is on another level. Like her two older sisters like had the spotlight as children, but like she emerged from the ashes of their career death, and like that, and yeah, she is just on another level. And also Benedict Wong is amazing, incredible, the Sorcerer Supreme. He's the man. And to see Elizabeth Olsen, it's not really a spoiler. I mean, everything's been spoiled in the trailers for the most part, but her as a villain is like, whoa, she can she can take the ball and run with it. It didn't feel out of place. Like she felt very justified and scary. I mean, her development as a character from Age of Ultron and how she's her power keeps growing and growing is impressive. They didn't like make her too strong at first. It's like they had her grow, and holy fuck, is she grown. But
Yeah.
without going into spoilers, that's all I got.
Yeah, I agree with you on everything there, and I think Elizabeth Olsen and Wanda, you kind of said as being the villain. That's a good jumping point into spoilers. But I will say first, also Rachel McAdams. I thought they gave Christine Palmer a lot more to do in this movie than I expected. I at first had no idea she was even coming back. Then when I saw her like on the poster, I'm like, why is she even in this movie? Like she was barely in the trailers. Just the scene of her wedding is in one of the trailers. I'm like, she's probably not going to play a big role. But no, she is actually given stuff to do. I would argue an even bigger and better role than the first Doctor Strange. That's probably one of the biggest improvements I would say over the first movie is her character. I liked the stuff with her, and obviously Rachel McAdams does a good job. So I'm ready to jump into spoilers though, and I do want to start with Elizabeth Olsen, Wanda Maximoff being the villain. The biggest thing I want to give credit to the movie is that I never believed that they were actually going to make her the villain. Like, since WandaVision, she has become one of the most popular characters in the MCU, just like period. And to take that character and have her actually kill, like, good guys, like actually murder real people a lot in the movie, and not just the cameos that come in for 5 seconds, but kill like all the people at the sanctum and like all these people. It's really hard to then redeem that character, right? So I never thought they would have done that. So credit to them for actually making that full commitment and not half-assing it, because that would have been the biggest disappointment for me if they went down that route but were too scared, so they half-assed that, and they did not. They went full in, so I do give them credit for that.
Yeah. People were like not ready to redeem Wanda at the end of WandaVision when she just mentally took over people but didn't kill anyone. And then they just took it even farther with this one, having her kill multiple people, and sometimes in bloody fashions. I think Moon Knight kind of set us up. Disney Plus gave us that warning, oh, you got to change your settings. And with Sam Raimi, I mean, he didn't go full Sam Raimi, but they said this was going to be a full-on horror movie. It wasn't. There's some horror aspects, but there are some moments where it's like, holy fuck, we're getting a little dark here. And they could have gone farther, but for the MCU, it went pretty far. But let's start from the beginning and just kind of talk about what happened. So the movie starts off with a bang. The famous Doctor Strange with the ponytail and the character we're introduced to named America Chavez, which confused me throughout the whole movie, because whenever they said America, I thought they were talking about the country until I realized that was her first name. I'm like, oh, okay. But they're fighting this monster, and then Doctor Strange dies, and then they open up the multiverse, and then it's a dream. But it's not really a dream, as we'll find out. I thought it started off hot, and, yeah, and then I like to see the heroes in real life, like what they're doing, and he's going to the wedding, and he makes, her water into wine. That's very neat. And then we get a kind of a Superman type of suit up moment where he's like, oh, time to go to work. And he fights the monster. Great debut with Wong. I actually cheered when I saw Wong when they did his reveal. I'm like, woo! I was the only one in the theater for the cheer for him. It was just me. Woo!
That's great.
Oh, it was great. But I thought the intro was okay.
Yeah.
Started off hot and then went to our introductions, and
Yeah,
What do you have to say
I
about
think that opening scene was really cool visually. Obviously, one of the best visual moments in the movie, where America Chavez is running through that kind of whatever they ended up describing that place as in between universes or whatever, with that alternate Doctor Strange. But it was also like a harbinger of things to come when that Doctor Strange gets killed right there. That's basically what happens to almost any multiversal character that's introduced throughout the whole movie. They get 2 to 5 minutes, then are killed. Almost every single one, with the exception of maybe Christine's alternate multiverse character is there for most of the movie. Everyone else though has their 5 minutes and then gets killed, and that happens with this Doctor Strange. And that was kind of the first moment where I was like, oh, okay, so maybe that won't happen. Like maybe that's just the beginning, but no, it happens every single time someone ends up getting introduced. But not to jump too far ahead, I did like it. And then the wedding scene, I agree with everything you said there. Nothing more to add. I would like to see MCU superheroes that are like actually have their suit on physically, because I feel like every single character we have now, ever since Iron Man with the nanotech, is like Doctor Strange is wearing a suit and then just does some weird hand thing, and then his clothes come on. Moon Knight, his clothes just magically come on. Like, Spider-Man's really the only character I can think of that actually has to wear his suit physically, it seems. So I wish we saw more of that, but that's just a nitpick.
Yeah, one of my favorite scenes in Homecoming is him putting on the suit, where he's like he takes off his like his sweater, his pants, he tapes his it's all baggy, and he hits the button, and it sucks up real tight. Okay, but Doctor Strange's abilities, I will say that like all of his new magic type abilities are super impressive in this. Like he has like the Hulk hands, where he picks up the spear and pokes the eye out of the monster. He has a bunch of new type of fighting abilities, so they didn't really shortchange us there. I was very impressed with all of his fighting abilities. But anyways, they kill the eye monster. They poke his eye out. We're introduced to America Chavez. She's has the ability to travel through the multiverse, but she doesn't know how. And her Doctor Strange tried to take her power, not her Doctor Strange, but the one she met, tried to take her power away. And that's kind of like the overlying theme in this film, where like every Doctor Strange, is kind of bad except ours. And we think ours might do something bad. But it wasn't long after that where, this isn't so-and-so, this is witchcraft. And we're introduced to Wanda. It's like, yay! And like, oh, I know you're here to talk to me about Westview. He's like, I'm not here to talk about Westview. And then blah, 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 blah. Oh, maybe we should bring America here. And then Doctor Strange goes, I didn't say your name. And he's like, no, you didn't. And that whole thing was a charade, the whole farm. I'm like, oh, fuck. She's full on Darkhold evil here. And I didn't think they were going to make her the whole villain, but holy fuck, they did. And all that's pretty straightforward. And then they go to the Sanctum.
Yeah, and
right?
I really liked at the end of that scene where she's like, I'm going to come at sundown, hand her over. And Doctor Strange says, what if we don't? And she says, then it won't be Wanda, it'll be the Scarlet Witch. And it was a good reminder for those that watched WandaVision, or even if you didn't watch WandaVision, where the first time we actually hear that name, Scarlet Witch, and her saying that to Doctor Strange is alerting him and Wong and all of them. They didn't even know she's the Scarlet Witch. It was a good reminder that the universe at this point doesn't even know who the Scarlet Witch is, or if they do know it, it's as this mystical character. So when she says that, they're like, oh my God, like they're now realizing she is the Scarlet Witch now. I like that they threw that in to kind of catch you up from WandaVision if you didn't see it, or remind you, coming off of that. And overall with WandaVision, obviously we'll talk about it more, but I was very impressed with how they both rewarded the viewers of WandaVision, and also if you didn't watch WandaVision, did a pretty good job catching you up on what you need to know. You're not going to know everything, but what you need to know from the storylines of that. I thought they balanced that pretty well. But I like that scene.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. That not like these people in the universe aren't like us, where we know she's the Scarlet Witch. They have no idea, and they make a good detail that Wong is the Sorcerer Supreme. Picking up that from No Way Home. And they also mention Spider-Man a little bit. And they don't mention that, Strange knew that he was Peter Parker. They just touch on it a little bit, poke fun about how Spider-Man is a ridiculous character. And Wong is like, oh, you know these things as a Sorcerer Supreme. And, it's custom to bow. And, Strange's like, I know the theory. I know the customs, whatever. That pays off later. But Wong's like, oh fuck, the Scarlet Witch is meant to take over everything, this is a big fucking deal, and holy fuck, it is. When she shows up at the Sanctum, and demands, she wants America because America can travel the multiverse, and she's with the Darkhold where she can dream walk. They bring up this ability where you can kind of go into the body of someone else in the multiverse, but that's not enough for Wanda. She's like, I have to physically be with my kids. And spoiler alert, they do exist in the multiverse, and those kids did not age at all. They must have filmed this and WandaVision at the same fucking time.
Real quick on the scene
ahead.
in the scene in the diner you talked about. That was actually a little bit earlier. We didn't touch on that, where America's actually explaining who she is to Doctor Strange and Wong. A lot of funny jokes in that. Probably one of the funniest scenes in the movie. Not a lot of comedy throughout the movie, to be honest, which I enjoyed. But that scene in particular, there's the random woman that comes up and asks Doctor Strange if he minds if she takes a picture, and he says yes, he does mind. And then
that's it. She just leaves.
Yeah, and then Wong, one of the best jokes. He's a great comic relief in the movie. One of his best jokes when she's like, oh, we need the Book of Ashanti, and Doctor Strange is like, that doesn't exist, and Wong's like, it does, and he's like, how do you know? He's like, I read it in the secret book you get when you become Sorcerer Supreme. And I'm like, oh, that's hilarious. My theater laughed at that. One of the biggest theater laughs and one of the funniest jokes in the movie, I thought. So I really enjoyed that scene too.
I just love them giving respect to Wong. It's incredible.
Yeah. So going to the scene where Wanda shows up at the Sanctum again, this was one of the moments where I thought, okay, are they actually going to go full on with her being a villain at this point? Well, what's going to happen? And right when she shows up and Doctor Strange denies giving her America, she tries to kill Doctor Strange basically right there, and then ends up slaughtering all those people. One moment from that scene I really liked is the point of view where she's trying to get into the head of the sorcerers that are guarding the Sanctum, and then it cuts to the point of view of one of them, and she kind of just shows up behind him and whispers in his ear to manipulate him. That was a great Sam Raimi directed, you could tell that visual style was there. And then that whole following sequence of her going through the Sanctum trying to get America, that whole thing was just a whole bunch of Sam Raimi cool sequences everywhere. Wanda crawling through the mirror all contorted, all the puddles and everything.
When she that was a total Sam Raimi, when she came out like that, that was total, yes, I'm like, this is Sam Raimi right here. This is gorgeous. And also, with her whispering the guy's ear, pays total tribute back to her abilities in Age of Ultron, and also at the end of WandaVision. It's so true to the character. And we learned about America Chavez, that she can only travel the multiverse when she's scared. And then battle, finally gets there. She starts sucking the power away, and then multiverse breaks open. We get we're finally traveling the multiverse. We travel through the Paint universe. There's a universe where it kind of looks like the Matrix. There's computers, and then we end up in the Flower universe, I guess. But Wong is left behind, but Strange and America are in this new universe. Of course, Sam Raimi's got to beat up Bruce Campbell, has mustard sprayed in his face, and gets his ass beat. Wonderful. And then we get our return of Mordo. I thought it was Mordo from our universe, from the trailers, but no, it's Mordo from this other universe where he's Sorcerer Supreme. We see the statue. In this universe, red is green, green is red for the lights, not really important. And
so real quick on that part, let's touch on when they go through the multiverse. That's when we get the big sequence. So we mentioned it earlier, but that's when we get that big 1 to 2 minute long sequence reminiscent to the first Doctor Strange when the Sorcerer Supreme sends him through the multiverse. We get something similar again where they're going through all the different multiverses, and one they're cartoons and one they're paint, right? And then we get to see all those multiverses that we never get to see in the movie. This is your only sequence.
That's the extent of it.
Yeah.
It's that trailer grab. That's it, And throughout the whole time they're in this Flower universe, I'm like, the clock is ticking. This is the multiverse. When are we going to get to these other universes? And it just doesn't fucking happen. Because I thought the Illuminati scene, we'll get to it, but I thought that was the Guardians of the Multiverse, in What If. But no, they're just the team in this universe. But anyway, Mordo starts explaining, oh yeah, our Doctor Strange, they have a plaque, a statue, died defeating Thanos. And of course, they got to bring up every fucking MCU, every post-Endgame, except for Moon Knight. Thank you. Where they got to bring up Thanos somehow. And Mordo poisons them, basically. They wake up in the cubes. It's like, and then we see redheaded Christine from that universe. They start explaining, like, oh yeah, our Doctor Strange died, blah 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 blah.
So first thing is we meet Mordo in this universe. Before we even get there, though, we have that little moment where Doctor Strange and America both stand on the little memory thing that shows you like an important memory in your life. Doctor Strange sees a memory of him out to dinner with Christine, where she gives him the watch, and that comes into play later. That's a nice little scene. And then with America, we see her origin, where she breaks open the universe for the first time, multiverse for the first time, and sends her parents through the multiverse, which is kind of like her origin trauma, story. And that was fine, but it was a great example of how this movie was like, oh, character stuff? Okay, we don't have any time. Here's this. Move on. And it just like showed us, and then it's like, okay, go, go, go. And the fact that we didn't get 300 cameos or all this stuff, we really didn't get that much. There was really no reason for them to rush through all this character stuff. It feels like they rushed through it more than they needed to.
Yeah, it felt rushed, but it also felt slow. Like, maybe because it was a shot, there'd be a shot of, they got to go up this mountain or they got to climb up this staircase. And it's like, it just felt very exhausting. I'm like, guys, we got to go. Or they're just walking in this town talking about nothing. It's like, guys, Multiverse of Madness. We're running out of time.
Yeah, we're
running out of time.
I had the exact same thought when they were walking through that town, and I'm thinking, okay, so we're like, this is supposed to be some crazy movie, and we're spending 12 minutes just walking through this town. This seems like a waste of time.
I'm so glad. I feel so justified because I'm like, I just felt like we got to take off soon, and we never did. It just never did.
So then we meet.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So then we meet Mordo, and this is another one of my big beefs with the movie. You set up Mordo's heel turn at the end of the first Doctor Strange, and then give him the post-credit scene where he takes the guy's magic away, and he says, no, too many sorcerers. I didn't even think he was going to be in this movie. I thought they were just going to forget about him. Then he's in the trailer, so I'm like, oh, they're actually going to do something with him. Cool. But then all we get of him is this multiverse variant that's kind of evil, kind of just a dick, ends up not playing that big of a role in the movie. So still, 6 years later, we have never heard from Mordo in the 616 universe or what his motivations are, what he's going to do.
We get a little exposition dump from Doctor Strange where he's like, Mordo, he tried to kill me. He went crazy. Blah, blah, blah. He dedicated his life to trying. Like, Doctor Strange explains that in 2 seconds when they first encounter Multiverse Mordo. So Doctor Strange in our universe knows that Mordo's a dick.
True, yeah.
And apparently he's trying to kill him off screen sometime in the time of Infinity War, and not Endgame because Doctor Strange was dead, but sometime before Infinity War and post Endgame, I guess Mordo tried to kill him, but it's not explained at all. Whatever.
Yeah, which makes me think that might be all we ever get of him. Like, I feel like it might be done at this point. First of all, I don't know if we're getting a Doctor Strange 3. That's a whole other topic. But even if we are they really going to make Mordo the main villain? Like, I don't think they are. So it's like, it makes me feel like that's just a wasted kind of little heel turn there, which is whatever. It's not that big of a deal, but it was a little bit disappointing when I thought he wasn't even going to be in the movie. Then I'm like, oh, he is in the movie. Oh wait, it's just this fake version. So that was kind of a waste in my opinion. But then we finally do lead to, what's probably the biggest sequence for a lot of people, which is the Illuminati sequence, where first we meet the variant of Christine, which I thought was a cool addition, and then he gets introduced to the Illuminati. You can take me through your thoughts on, before we get to Wanda coming in, what was your initial thoughts on him meeting the Illuminati and all the characters that we saw there?
I loved it. I thought it was great. First, we start off with Black Bolt, who I don't know who it is, but apparently
he's from Inhumans, I guess.
A version of him is from Inhumans, yeah.
Didn't watch
and
that.
And then, neither did I. Captain Marvel. I mean, not Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel, but Captain Carter, spoiled in the TV spot, but seeing Haley Atwell on screen again was, gorgeous. And then Captain Marvel variant, which apparently is Monica Rambeau's mother, I believe.
Yeah, the one from the original Captain Marvel movie.
Yeah. So instead of and then the biggest shock that I did not expect, fucking John Krasinski, Reed Richards. I mean, I literally yelled "Holy shit" in the theater. I mean, my whole theater yelled, but I literally yelled "Holy shit!" It's fucking
My theater had
a few. He looks exactly like the photoshops that people made. Like exactly like the photo, the hair, everything.
If I had seen a leaked photo of it online, I would have thought it was fake because of how much he looked exactly like the fake fan art.
The amount of times I've seen that Photoshop, and then when I saw him, I'm like, it did like it didn't register. Like, holy fuck, they did it. And then my favorite one, even more than that, we knew it from the trailer, Professor X, but not just Professor X from fucking X-Men the cartoon '97. They played the theme song.
Yeah.
They played the theme song. He has the theme, and when he did his mind thing, he never did this in the fucking Fox movies, but literally did the head thing, this thing. You saw the airwaves coming from his head. It's like, holy fuck! Like, it's literally, and the yellow wheelchair, the floating one. It's like, it wasn't just Professor X. I mean, it was Professor X from that cartoon series, but they're all dead, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So I thought it was really cool. Obviously, we knew a lot of it because of the TV spots and stuff. We knew Professor X. We knew Captain Carter. Really, the main surprise was that Reed Richards cameo, and then also, I guess, the alternate Captain Marvel, which is kind of cool. But overall, I thought it was...
No one reacted to that.
Yeah. My theater had a few laughs. Now, I'm in an IMAX screening, so... it is louder, but there was a few laughs, but there were no applause, no reaction, anything in my theater. The only time there was fucking John Krasinski being revealed as Reed Richards. He gets revealed, theater goes nuts. So this whole time I'm thinking leading up to this, this theater's a casual crowd. Like they're here to see this cool movie. They probably don't really like the MCU. That's why they're not reacting to anything. Then they all reacted John Krasinski as Reed Richards. So I'm thinking, like, is it just because it's John Krasinski? Like, why? It was very confusing to me, but it was cool to have that reaction, I guess. So obviously leading in from that, you already mentioned it, they all end up dying. Wanda comes in, wrecks shit. Really cool sequence in my opinion, but kills everybody. Freaking cuts Captain Carter in half with her own shield. We do get the I could do this all day line from Haley Atwell, which I thought was cool. I've seen mixed responses to that online. I thought it was neat. It was cool for her to have that on-screen role. All the other characters outside of Reed Richards, it made sense for them to show up and die, because like if you're going to have Professor X in this universe, I'm sorry to anybody out there, it's not going to be Patrick Stewart. Like, it's just not going to be. And if you're going to have, Captain Marvel, Maria Rambeau is dead. So it's not going to be that actor. Haley Atwell, Peggy is dead in this universe, right? So, like, that all made sense. But John Krasinski's Reed Richards is the only one where it's like, I'm confused. Is he not going to be the Reed Richards? Or... Because it'd be very weird, in my opinion, to have him show up for 5 minutes and get utterly wrecked by Wanda in another universe, and then it's like, okay, now he's also the real Reed Richards. It's like he looks pretty weak from that.
Yeah, but I'm afraid they're going to do that. I've heard rumors that he's like going to direct Fantastic Four now because John Watts is dropping out, but I don't know.
I'd actually rather him direct it than be in it. That'd be cool.
Yeah, but there's 3 different Doctor Stranges in this film, so who's to say that there can't be another different version of Reed Richards? But can we talk about how this universe condemned Doctor Strange? I almost laughed out loud seeing them all on Titan with the dead Thanos in the corner, and then they're all just standing. They're all just standing on Titan. It looks so out of place. Because Professor X is there too. It's like, what are you doing on Titan? What are you gonna do? They kill him because he decided to use the Darkhold, and before they fought Thanos, apparently that Doctor Strange like merged 2 different universes and killed an entire universe. Yeah. And then they fought Thanos, and then like after that, like, well, you guys got to die now. So they used Black Bolt to kill him. And a side note on that, Wanda taking away his mouth and just having Black Bolt's head explode was a beautiful visual.
That was cool.
It's like, oh, fuck you, dude.
Yeah.
But it's like Professor X was just like, oh yeah, we got to kill you. But in total Professor X fashion, he's like, and he also quoted himself from Days of Future Past. Is like, just because someone stumbles and loses their way doesn't mean they're lost forever, and he trusts the new Strange. But yeah, that whole thing about killing their version of Doctor Strange was just fucking weird.
Yeah, and I thought that sequence was kind of weird too. And the whole time, it just felt very like the whole Illuminati sequence, even before Wanda came in, it felt just very like fan fiction-ish to me. Like, it felt very much like This isn't something that I would expect from the MCU. It just felt kind of off. And I don't know exactly what that is. Maybe I'll figure that out upon repeat viewings, but it just didn't work for me as much as I would have wanted. And it was just weird. It just made me feel like it didn't treat the multiverse like a big deal. Like, we're going to introduce all these characters, kill them all this stuff that happens in all these other universes doesn't matter. Like, don't worry about it. Once he gets back to 616, everything's normal again. It was just very, like, unconsequential. And then when he explained that he defeated Thanos by getting the Book of Ashanti and like, doing all that stuff, the freaking Black Bolt guy can just breathe and completely obliterate you. I'm sorry, why did they have a problem with Thanos? Like, that seems pretty OP. Like, what was the issue? If unless Thanos is some type of crazy, invincible, like, I know they had to defeat him with the snap, and obviously in the MCU, but we haven't seen him, like, physically get killed, except for in that episode of What If, where Ultron, I think, kills him. But it's like, if he is any type of, like, fallible at all, this Black Bolt character seems completely OP and could have destroyed Thanos no problem. So that was a little bit odd to me.
Well, maybe he used a Power Stone to block his voice. Whatever, not important. They're all dead. But what was I going to say? Fuck. Okay, so basically Wanda shows up, Rex's house. Mordo is like, doesn't help with them at all because he wants to cast his vote to cast out Strange. We get a great fist fight sequence where none of them have their powers because Strange has the handcuffs, gets one broken because Mordo's sword, and they're both handcuffed. Great fight sequence between those two. America's in the box still, and then Wanda shows up, and they have like a dumb cat and mouse chase sequence with one of my least favorite jump scares. Oh, I think we lost her because she's behind the door, even though we've seen Wanda destroy multiple doors, and then they close the third one. It's like, oh, I think she's gone. And then she just appears in front of it in the worst jump scare ever. I'm like, oh, that was terrible. And then I think they jump multiverses again, and they end up in a merged universe. But before that, Wanda visits. We find out that the Darkhold was also written on the walls somewhere. It's like, oh, the book is just a
transcribed
fake.
From a tomb.
It's actually, yeah. And we visit the tomb, and we find out that it's not a tomb. It's a fucking shrine to the Scarlet Witch. And there's these monsters there that look super cool. And then the monsters bow to Wanda, like, oh, fuck. And it actually made me laugh out loud. I was destined to rule everything. But I don't want that. I just want my kids. But before we get to that, I'm honestly disappointed with the lack of mention of Vision in this movie. He's mentioned once or twice. And it's just about getting back together with Wanda's kids. It's like in none of those other multiverses we see like Vision in any of those circumstances. Like the emotional damage of the ending of WandaVision where like Vision's like, we've said goodbye before, and then Wanda says, we'll say hello again, and then Vision like disappears from the hex. Like that emotional scene wrecked me. And to see none of that carry over into this besides Wanda's kids, it's like that she doesn't even mention wanting to be with Vision again. Is kind of disappointing because that emotional scene fucking wrecked me from WandaVision, and just not having that mentioned at all in this kind of sucks.
Yeah, I took that as just, well, don't have time. Like that's how I kind of took it. It was just they're just like, well, we don't have time, so oh well. We can't fucking fit Paul Bettany in this movie too. That's honestly how it felt because everything is so, continuity is always so like, straight, and like they try to get everything to make sense. And then there's just odd, random, like Vision is nowhere to be seen, nowhere in these multiverses with Wanda. She seems to be just a single mother in all of them. And it's whatever. I didn't blame him too much because it's like, look, what I wanted to do. If they don't have Paul Bettany for the movie, whatever. But I totally get where you're coming from.
They could have just included her with the kids. Just put them in the same scene. You know what I mean? Just like maybe a human version of fucking Vision or something. Like just a human Paul Bettany where it's like, I don't know, like in fucking Zack Snyder's Justice League where like the mother boxes are trying to trick Victor, and it shows like the mom, the dad, and then like a human, something like it. Just include it. It doesn't have to be a separate scene, just the same one.
Yeah,
with the
I just don't
kids.
know. It's like,
You know what I mean?
yeah, I just feel like, I don't know how all that works when they're deciding who's going to be in the movie. It's like, okay, if we put Paul Bettany in this movie, how does that affect his contract? How does that affect how many movies he's in? I don't know how any of that works. So it's like, I'm not going to blame them, because I feel like it's not like Sam Raimi made that decision or the writers made that decision. Like, I'm sure Marvel came to them and was like, this is who you have for the movie. You know what I mean? So I totally get what you're saying, and I agree with you. I let it slide on that one, because it's like, whatever, I'm not going to worry about it, I guess.
Yeah, just that ending of WandaVision just hit me so fucking hard, and just to see it like kind of blown over in this, just, I don't know, kind of sucks. Because fuck, man, I almost cried watching that. It was the best acting work from those two for that. I don't know.
So after she kills,
okay,
she kills the Illuminati, and eventually Doctor Strange and Christine end up in that incursion of a universe where that version's Doctor Strange is basically the evil Doctor Strange from What If. That's basically what his representation is, and you find out that he caused this, and then he went to all these other universes, killing off the Doctor Stranges because of something to do with Christine. It's kind of unclear, and then they have a musical fight.
Yeah, the musical fight was that was so cool. Like they're playing different notes to try to fight each other, but all that takes away because they took away my favorite line. Things just got out of hand.
Yep.
They took it out.
Not in the
I'm
movie.
Pissed.
Yep. Clearly
movie.
just filmed for the trailer. One of those where there's not even an excuse because of the way that you meet that Doctor Strange. There's really no scenario where he would have said that in that scene. Yeah, clearly for the trailer. And also, I agree that the execution of it was cool. The musical note scene was cool in concept. And if this was a movie that was more accepting of the multiverse and we had all these weird sequences, that'd be cool. But to me, it didn't really fit the vibe or the tone. And it came off to me as Danny Elfman did the score for this movie, obviously legendary score composer, and it just felt like one of those things where Danny Elfman was like, what if we did this? It just seemed like very off from the rest of the movie for me, but I get that it was a cool thing. It just, to me, didn't land, unfortunately.
I understand why they took that line out, because things never got out of hand.
It was all pretty under control. And then
it's all pretty straightforward.
So then obviously he defeats that evil Doctor Strange, and it leads right into what I think is one of the coolest things of the movie, when that Doctor Strange possesses the dead one that was brought to the 616 from the beginning of the movie and becomes zombie Doctor Strange, possesses him to take down Wanda with America and Wong in that last sequence. I thought when I saw zombie Doctor Strange in the trailer, great, this is going to be some stupid multiverse villain that isn't going to be consequential, it's just going to be dumb. But no, the way they twisted that and made that Doctor Strange possessing him to save the day, I thought that was one of the coolest sequences of the whole movie.
Yeah, they did the fucking hand out of the grave thing. I thought that was funny. Because I remember watching him, like, why are they showing us the effort of him burying this Doctor Strange, not knowing that it would play off later? Because I totally forgot about zombie Doctor Strange. And he's great prosthetic prosthetic? Is that the word? Yeah. Makeup, all, like, real. And, they drop this one line like, "Oh, if I leave this body, other demons will try to like come and take it," and it's totally like Sam Raimi type demons, trying to fucking take his body, but then he uses them, and we get to the final fight. I'm like, "Oh fuck, this is the final fight," and it's just like Doctor Strange like has this like dumb speech where it's like, "Oh, you knew what you were doing. Because you came to me, blah, blah, blah. You just got to trust yourself." And like,
very weak part of the movie.
That's it. So it's like,
just had to have someone. So just had to have someone tell her, "Hey, you can actually do it."
You can do it. I can.
Yeah. And again, that just reminded me of just like that earlier scene I said where it's like, oh, character stuff. Sorry, we don't really have time. Just tell her she can do it. Just felt very weak to me. And the sequence after that, though, where she opens up the portal and shows Wanda her kids, and that the kids are frightened of her as the Scarlet Witch, and she realizes, what she's done wrong, and then the Wanda in that universe tells her, don't worry, they'll be loved. I thought that all was done well, and that I did kind of see why Wanda would see that and then be like, okay, I'm actually gonna be remorseful, because the whole movie I'm like, how are they going to make her realize what she's doing is wrong? And I actually bought it the way that they did that, so I did enjoy that moment. But yeah, very weak moment with the speech to America for sure.
Yeah, the speech sucked, but like throughout the movie, they're telling her like, so you're gonna kill their actual mother? Like, what's gonna happen then? And then Wanda just wouldn't answer. And then when they got to it, it's like the kids are scared of her. She's like, kind of freaking out, like no. And then like the scene from the trailer where like our Wanda's like breaking down crying, and then Multiverse Wanda, comes over and like kind of like comforts her, like they'll be taken care of. And it didn't take that, like I don't. Did she finally accept it? Because after that, she just kind of like collapses her shrine, and with her still in it, so we don't know. I mean, we see like red flashes afterwards, so I don't know. Maybe she teleported out of there, but
yeah, I don't think she's. I definitely don't think she's dead. Like, even if she didn't teleport out of there, she ain't getting killed by some rocks falling on her. Like, if you don't see a body, they're not dead. That's the rule I always follow. And she might be gone for a few years. I have no idea how they would ever redeem her as a character after she killed all those people. They'll have to figure that out. Maybe she comes in with Magneto and plays a little bit of a villain a little bit more eventually. But yeah, once she realizes that's her dad. But yeah, I definitely think that she's obviously, they're not going to kill off one of their main characters that are so popular. Just like when Black Panther disappeared in Infinity War, and it's like, well, they're not going to kill off the person that just made $1 billion.
yeah, but Black Panther didn't kill a bunch of people, and like people thought she was irredeemable after fucking WandaVision, and now after this, she's definitely irredeemable. And like, I think Elizabeth Olsen has said, it's like, hey, there's a good script, they'll come back, but I don't think there's anything right now. Benedict Cumberbatch is taking a break from acting, apparently. So is fucking Andrew Garfield. But besides the point, it's like, yeah. Then the movie's pretty much over at that point, right?
Yeah. So
I mean, not much after.
Yeah. So they save the day, and then they go back to the normal 616 universe. And I don't even really remember what exactly happens with America Chavez at the end after that, if it even shows her. But we do see Doctor Strange.
She's training.
Yes, correct.
With she's training at the Sanctum, and just like Doctor Strange in his movie, everyone else is able to produce the circles, she can't. So it's like and like to play off the beginning of the movie, Doctor Strange finally bows to Wong, the Sorcerer Supreme. It's like, oh, it's custom to bow in front of the Sorcerer Supreme. It's like, yeah, whatever. And he finally does, and then the movie's pretty much over, and then the post-credit scene with fucking Charlize Theron.
So
right, that was
yeah.
her,
So
right?
before we get to the post-credit, I did appreciate that ending with America, actually, because I was scared that I was gonna be like, oh, they're just gonna have her in this movie to set her up for her own thing. That actually not ended up being true. She was just I thought she was a pretty good addition to this movie, actually. She didn't get in the way. They didn't focus on her like too much. We got some cool character stuff, but it wasn't distracting. I thought they actually handled her much better than I thought they would. So I like that. Then the actual ending is where he's walking out and Wong's like, are you good? Like, you just messed with the Darkhold. Are you good? And he's like, yeah, I'm good. And then he's walking at the end, and then he freaks out on the street and grows the third eye in his forehead. I thought that was a very good ending, because it's like, oh, first of all, I'm not a huge comic fan, obviously. I don't know what exactly that means with the third eye, but I'm thinking, oh, is he going to be becoming the evil Doctor Strange? Is this going to be a problem? Nope. Immediately wiped away in the mid-credits scene when Charlize Theron shows up, and apparently he's fine now. So what a way to ruin your own ending of your movie.
Yeah, the eye is just part of him now. Because, like, also, like, he destroys the Darkhold in one universe, and then it disappears from all the others? Is that?
I think Wanda did that.
the deal?
Wanda did that. She destroyed the Darkhold in all of the multiverse. How? I don't know. They probably explained it with, like, one line, but that she was the one that did it.
And did the Book of Ashanti have anything to do with anything else?
So he got the Book of Ashanti towards. We kind of skipped over that because it wasn't that consequential, but they do return there, get the Book of Ashanti, but before he's able to use it, Wanda destroys the page about the multiverse in it, so it becomes irrelevant.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay, then post-credit scene. Apparently, from what I've read, Charlize Theron's character is like one of Doctor Strange's wives from another universe who can travel the multiverse, and I guess they'll have to deal with the Multiverse of Madness because we did it in this film.
In 2029, yeah.
Yeah. And then the post-credit scene I thought was perfect because early in the film it's like, oh, how long does this punching spell last? I don't know, 3 weeks. And at the very end, he keeps punching himself, and then he stops, and Bruce Campbell looks right at the camera. It's over! I'm like, Perfect.
Yeah, I actually did
But
really enjoy that, and you brought it up earlier, but obviously it's cool to see Bruce Campbell in another Sam Raimi film playing a little role, and I think post credit scenes have jumped the shark at this point. If you don't want to wait for them, I totally get it. They are mostly just kind of like a joke, so I wasn't too mad at it. It's more so the mid credits scene is what's going to give you the substance usually. So yeah, I liked that one.
Yeah, that was good. I mean, I think my favorite example is Shang-Chi, where we see Captain Marvel and fucking Mark Ruffalo, and then the post credit is like so dumb for that one, but I won't get into that. But we didn't see like the yellow car though, the Sam Raimi Oldsmobile yellow car. I don't think we saw that in this film because that's a Sam Raimi staple. But I don't know. If you told me this film was directed by Sam Raimi, or if I there was a couple Sam Raimi moments, for the most part, I couldn't tell. It felt like a very plug and play, like he just filled in. Besides, like maybe a couple moments. I told you I saw this film twice. That's a lie. I saw it once and a half because after the cameos of the first time, I'm like, well, I know what happens. I just stayed for the reactions for the cameos, which weren't even that good my second time. I left after the cameos appearance. I didn't want to stay. I'm like, I know what happens, and I didn't like this film. I didn't. I thought it could have. Maybe it's a victim of title, of circumstance, of director, but it's like it fell short. I don't like. No Way Home was like a perfect storm, lightning in a bottle, almost. It just worked. It shouldn't have worked, but it worked. And they did it so right. And with this one, it just like nothing landed. I mean, a couple cool cameos, but it just. So many things were missed.
Do you think if No Way Home did not come out this year, and let's say it was coming out next year or something, and we didn't just see that 3 months ago or 5 months ago or whatever, do you think that would have affected how much you liked this movie, or do you think it was disappointing on its own merits without comparing it to that?
I mean, that's tough to say.
Yeah.
I didn't come into this. Expecting to see fucking Toby so and so. I just wanted to see more of the multiverse. The trailers for No Way Home advertise, the villains. They didn't even advertise Toby and Andrew. Everyone wanted that, and they got it. But it's like for this one, Multiverse of Madness, Sam Raimi. It's like they advertised so much, and the trailers, the TV spot showed us so much. I'm like, okay, if they're showing us all this, there'll be a lot more. But no, they showed us everything except for the cameos. And even then, the cameos were in part of the fucking TV spots.
Yeah.
I just expected more universe, better character development, more emotion, more vision. That's my biggest pet peeve. It's just like the lack of dimension of vision. It just pissed me off because his death in Infinity War and how he was never brought back. Everyone else was brought back but him. He was only brought back as a fucking hallucination.
Yeah. In
the Hex, and then his second or third death was so fucking emotional and just so brushed over. This film just did not land with me. It didn't work.
Yeah, only thing I'll say on that, I kind of already defended that before, but with Vision. But the only thing I'd say is, I always go into movies, regardless of what people say, I always go into movies of what have the trailers showed me. That's what I'm going to expect. I'm not going to expect more of them. And, so like a similar situation, in my opinion, people were mad when Luke Skywalker wasn't in The Force Awakens. But I was like, he was never in any of the marketing material for The Force Awakens. So him showing up one time, I was fine with it. I felt similar here. Vision was never in any marketing material. He's never mentioned. So his name was mentioned once in the trailer in a past tense saying he did have theories, again, acknowledging his death.
He had theories, yeah.
So I didn't expect him going into it. However, I totally understand why that. It doesn't make any sense why he wouldn't be in it, but I let them slide on that, I think, more than you. But yeah, overall, look, I think we're being really harsh on it because we love the MCU. This is better than probably 60% of big budget movies that are going to come out this year. Like, it's still a well-made movie. Visually is really awesome. Sam Raimi's a really good director. I think the score is good. We already talked about the performances are really good. This is not a terrible movie. We just really love the MCU, so we're going to be really harsh on it. And there was a lot of hype for it. And I think when you look at No Way Home, this film, and then Thor, which comes out in a few months, this is definitely going to be the link weak link, I think, in my opinion, probably years down the line when you're looking back on it. And I also do have to say, we haven't really brought up the original Doctor Strange that much. I rewatched it this week going in to watch this one. A lot of people have said it doesn't hold up. I disagree. I think it holds up really well. I really enjoyed it rewatching it again. And while the visuals obviously have come further in the last 6 years, and this movie probably looks better visually, I think the first Doctor Strange is a better movie than this one.
Yeah, I can totally agree on that. And it's tough. We just came off of the best MCU movie. I mean, top 5 MCU movies ever. No Way Home. I mean, arguably, no doubt, almost perfect in execution, pacing, timing, and like I remember watching No Way Home for the first time when Spider-Man first finds out. I mean, that everyone knows. It's like, oh fuck, and it's like, oh man, what's coming? Oh, this is going to take off soon. And it does. And I had that exact feeling throughout this film, except it never took off. Ever. But when No Way Home, it took off. We see Daredevil, we see all this shit. The villains show up pretty soon. We get the tease of him going to visit Doctor Strange. It's like, it was perfectly built up. It just worked. But with this one, it didn't happen. But it was okay. Am I ever see it again? I tried to see it again, and I left halfway through because I'm like, yeah, I know what happens. I saw No Way Home 3 times. It's like, I don't know, but it's a victim of hype. It's a victim of hype because I saw Shang-Chi expecting nothing, expecting whatever. I didn't expect anything, and Shang-Chi was fucking amazing, and I expected something amazing from this one, and it was mid.
Yeah. All right, well, yeah.
We can go on all day.
Yeah, we've been talking almost an hour. I think we've, kind of said what we needed to say. Kind of went through the film, what we liked and didn't like. And again, I think we're coming off really harsh, but I would just, again, say for anyone that enjoyed the movie, I really liked a lot of the stuff in this movie. There's some stuff I really enjoyed. I in no way think it's a bad movie, and I would still think it's better. While it's not, super elite or anything, I think it's better than a lot of other movies in the MCU. Probably, I could probably name 10 other movies that I would definitely want to watch this one again before I watch those. So, not terrible.
Like this one?
Ghostbusters in the MCU? Yeah, for sure.
It exists. Anything's... Well, actually, no, because there's only 2 other universes that we can visit.
Well, that's going to do it for us on our review of Multiverse of Madness. I assume probably the next movie we review will be Thor, would be my guess. But we don't do movie reviews that much. We're mostly watching stuff here on the channel. Right now we're watching Star Trek, the original series from the 60s. We're also watching Barry on HBO. As I said, we just finished Moon Knight, so that's on the channel. So go check out all that. Subscribe if it's your first time here. Become part of the target audience.
Guys, thank you guys so much for watching and listening to us rant about this bullshit. I'm Alex, this is Josh. We are the target audience where content is made for absolutely everybody, but we think specifically made for us and hopefully for you as well. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next one.